Good on, everyone. Welcome to Football Americas. Janusz is saying, hold on, because his mic pack is practically on the floor.
It's here. Tell
him we're live.
It's here.
No, don't start.
Can you hold it for me?
He's telling our director, Melissa, hold on.
Sorry, Melissa.
Running the open. Hey, this is live TV. In case you're wondering if the show was taped, this is proof that it is not. Herculez Gomez, styling as always. What do you got on today?
The 1996-97 Borussia Dortmund. This is the jersey they wore in the final, Champions League against Juventus. 96-97. My producer Kostas, he's a German professional.
He is.
So he informed me. There's the famous Lars Ricken goal.
1901 Bayern Munich warm-up top.
1901.
1901. It's vintage, mint condition, perfectly preserved. We will
How old were
talk
you?
about. Anyway, I'll continue on. We will talk about a former Borussia Dortmund player, Gio Reyna, picking up another injury, so thank you for that transition. We will also, of course, talk about a little U20 and some World Cup drama. But first, we will welcome in our Jeff Carlisle. Jeff, how's it going? Thanks for hanging out. You have any vintage jerseys or scarves that are hanging in the back?
I have scars on the back. I've got some jerseys too, but not wearing any of those today.
Hey, that's fine. It's not a requirement. I don't know what this would be considered as, but maybe it's kind of like the kits that we're seeing a lot of the collars, but I digress.
Retro.
Let's dive right into it because we are stepping on the heels of October coming in this Wednesday, which means that we will keep an eye out on Mauricio Pochettino's next roster, dropping sometime this week. But here's our upcoming schedule. October 10th, they face Ecuador. On the 14th, Australia. November 15th, Paraguay. And November 18th, Uruguay. And of course, we will have to be on the lookout for maybe some surprises for Pochettino, maybe some new faces, some old faces, of course. That would have to include, Jeff, names like Christian Pulisic with the swarm as of late. 5 games, 4 goals, 2 assists. He had 1 goal and 1 assist this weekend in Milan's 2-1 win against Napoli. This is a name that we're expecting to see, Jeff, but as maybe a surprise, are you thinking that Tanner Tessmann will make an appearance? I know that was one of the questions that you asked in your article on .com.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, given Tessmann's form at the moment, I mean, if you're Mauricio Pochettino, I think you almost have to call him in. Now, Tessmann had the misfortune, or call it what you want, of being associated with the Nations League debacle last March. And Pochettino seemed to be holding that against certain guys, not calling them in. I'm thinking of a guy like Joe Scally as well. But this season, Tanner Tessmann has just been fantastic for Olympique Lyon. He's played almost every minute of every game. The one game he didn't start was in the Europa League against FC Utrecht. And all he did was come off the bench and score an absolute banger. So I think he's just in the best form of his career at the moment.
Actually, with the consistency that we're seeing with Tanner Tessmann, speaking of consistent players, I mean, Christian Pulisic, that would also be crazy to not see him there in general for what he means for this U.S. men's national team side here, Janusz. But what version of Christian Pulisic are you hoping to see after so much consistency with the Milan side?
Same. I mean, look, he's performed well for the United States national team, right? So I don't think it's a surprise. I mean, we can talk about other players. Some are doing well with the club, and, when they come to the national team, they can't seem to translate that. Josh Sargent is an easy one to go to, right? I mean, all we care about is how they perform for the U.S. men's national team. Now, a great form like Christian's form at the moment, I mean, it almost feels like this is the best moment in his career when I watch him. And forget the goals and assists, but just the way he goes about that. That sort of momentum, confidence. He's going at people almost immediately. This is the best I have ever seen. I know he had moments at Chelsea when he was scoring, and there was that moment like, wow, and of course, there's probably few that I can't think of at Borussia Dortmund. But right at this moment, this is probably the best version of Christian Pulisic. And you know what? He's making some people in the media look silly right now.
So, I mean, Christian Pulisic, you're talking about those moments he had of brilliance against teams like Real Madrid. Well, he was at Dortmund, and then he would go to Chelsea, and he had isolated moments, Champions League runs. He was a big part against Porto. He was a big part against Real Madrid of why they advanced to the final and then winning the Champions League. And during that Premier League Chelsea run, it was lockdown Pulisic. He had a good string of games where, like, this is exactly who we thought Christian Pulisic was going to be. And as many in the pool of players for Chelsea found out, it wasn't going to be that way. His future wasn't at that club. Now he comes over to AC Milan, and he's been there just over 2 seasons. And since the time that Christian Pulisic has been in Milan, has been in Serie A, he's absolutely, without a doubt, been one of the best players in the league. By far, easy to say he's productive. Since he got to Italy, 46 goal contributions, goals and assists, more than any other player in Italian football. Lautaro Martinez, more than him. He was a Ballon d'Or candidate a few seasons ago. And I'm not talking short list of 30. I'm talking about top 5 type player. Christian Pulisic right now is on an epic run that he's never been on. And you can say what you want about Serie A, and people are going to discredit the Serie A, but this is the same league that in 3 of the last Champions League editions, 2 other teams have made the finals. Same league that when everybody talked about Bayer Leverkusen, ridiculous unbeaten season, they ended that in the final win in the Europa League. This is a very good league, tactically very difficult to be productive in, and Christian Pulisic is being productive. And he's being productive with all types of coaches. He's being productive in all types of systems. He's being productive, being asked to play on the right, being asked to play in the middle, being asked to play on the left, and now being asked to play as a double 9 to a forward system for Maxi Allegri. He is who many thought he could be, and people are just coming to it. If you're asking yourself if Christian Pulisic is world-class, here's the evidence. It's not fandom. It's what he's doing right now, what he's been doing in Serie A, and what hopefully he stays healthy and will continue to do. And I agree with Janusz. Janusz, you said he's making people in the media look silly. I absolutely 100% believe it. When he decided the best thing for himself in the summer was to take a break because his body needed it, people don't know. Most people don't know. They just think, oh, he pick and chooses. He had a hip issue. Yeah. So when he decided to prioritize his health and not go with the U.S. men's national team in a secondary tournament, not what I say, what U.S. Soccer has treated it like in the past 7 editions, 6 have been alternate rosters, secondary tournament. When he decided that, he's now proving that was best for his health. So, listen, we can sit here until we're blue in the face. It seems like we talk about Christian Pulisic every week. Guess why? Because he gives us a reason to.
And for the purpose of our conversation, what people think about Serie A, it doesn't really matter, right? I mean, and there's going to be that conversation as you see it. Is he the best in the world? Who cares? All I know that at this moment, he's one of the best players in the world in a sense that, you know, show me players that play as confident, as well, and still top 5 league in the world at this moment. Yeah. And that's all we care about. But by the way, I'll go, you know, Jeff probably has to say about that. It still matters what happens 6, 7, 8 months from now. So let's just wait and see a little bit and hope that he can continue to do that.
100%. And Jeff, what Mauricio Pochettino has probably seen, not even as of late, but in Christian Pulisic's career at Milan specifically, what can Pochettino do to make sure that he has that supporting cast that he has at Milan to be able to have that confidence at the national team level?
Well, I mean, I think there's got to be other threats alongside Christian Pulisic because we've seen it a million times in CONCACAF. It's the whole hack a Christian approach that teams take. As soon as he gets ahead of steam, he's going to the ground. I mean, they're putting him on the deck, they're fouling him, and it's going to be up to other players that, you know, to pick up the slack and provide another attacking threat so that opposing teams can't just focus on Christian Pulisic. I think in the last window, we saw a little glimpse of that with Alejandro Zendejas, and that guy is another player who is on fire at the moment. The goals that he's scoring for Club America, I mean, chipping Keylor Navas last weekend on a fantastic goal, sets up another, wins a penalty that he scores himself. So I think if we can get those, you know, if the U.S. can get those 2 players really on the same page, in top form, then I think it's going to give opponents something else to think about rather than just Christian Pulisic.
Right, and Pulisic, as Herc mentioned, we got to move on because we have some injury concerns here, but you said Pulisic, you know, having that break in the summer was so important to see the form that he's having now. About coming back from a knee injury and how tough that could be and other little problems start to come up. Is this just another little problem for Pepe, or how concerned are you about this?
Well, you should be concerned because we're sitting here days ago thinking, okay, Ricardo Pepi, he's healthy. He's going to be an addition of this next roster drop for the upcoming friendlies. He can get his foot back in the door. And what I feel is still a very much wide open race at the 9 position. Yes, Fowler and Balogun right now may have that pole position, but by doing very little. If you think about what these 9s have done in the U.S. jersey, they've done very little to say, this is mine. So still very much wide open. So much so that under Pochettino, we've seen Balogun play, we've seen Patrick Gagiman play, we've seen Josh Sargent play, we've seen Ricardo Pepi play.
But you
They're
like
looking
the
for
connection
somebody.
with Balogun and Pulisic.
Yeah, I do, but I also liked Ricardo Pepi and Pulisic. And listen, that was a long time ago, but let's not forget, Ricardo Pepi at a much younger age was the savior for this U.S. men's national team, I should say Greg Berhalter, during that first opening cycle. So that first half of the cycle was Ricardo Pepi, and the fact that he didn't make the World Cup team blew my mind and was beyond comprehension. But here I have a player that was actually very productive, and maybe the only productive 9 with Mauricio Pochettino starting and coming off the bench, but hasn't been able to get back on the team due to health reasons. Every player is going to go through their run of injury. It's normal. It's going to happen. When you come with an injury like a knee injury, the most common things that happen next are muscular. This is what he's going through right now. But you got to get your foot in the door because Mauricio Pochettino, you have equity in this program. You're one of the players I believe has equity, but you don't have equity with Mauricio Pochettino. And Mauricio Pochettino, he doesn't owe anybody anything.
Right, right, exactly.
Yeah, with Pepe, I don't worry about that. Came back, scored a couple of goals. I mean, yeah, he didn't look good. I think it was the Champions League in Union Saint-Gilloise, right? I mean,
yes,
created a
caused
penalty,
the penalty
and then gave up the ball in the midfield for the goal.
Yeah.
But nobody's challenging Balogun. I mean, score that goal, we got excited. Absolute disaster in the Champions League against Club Brugge. After that, on the bench, when they beat Metz 5-2, everybody was scoring. He doesn't even get off the bench for Monaco. So that worries me. Last game, coming in at halftime, lost to Lorient. When he came in, was 1-0. Ended up being 3-1. Again, not looking good at all. So Balogun's not taking advantage of that as well. And that's why, Jeff said something interesting, and we're talking about this team and who may play and formation. Pochettino's 3-4-3. I almost think, Max Allegri is looking at 3-5-2. And I actually like Christian Pulisic, not just because of the issues we have there, but I think I would like Pochettino to try 3-5-2. Because regardless of who's there, if it's Pepe, Balogun, or somebody else, you need somebody like him with that sort of freedom where he can roam everywhere. And that
Same old sad song for Gio Reyna. This is a guy who had so much promise coming through the Borussia Dortmund system, was starting to set some records, youngest this, youngest that. And then all of a sudden his career just goes completely off the rails, and it's because he can't stay healthy. This guy cannot stay on the field, and ultimately Borussia Dortmund gave up on him. And so certainly the early days at Mönchengladbach I thought were encouraging. I mean, granted, Gladbach lost that game to Werder Bremen 4-0, and that was Reyna's, the first start in God knows how long, and I thought he looked pretty good in that match. I mean, he was one of the few bright spots. I mean, he didn't get on the ball a ton, but he could have had a few assists if his teammates had been able to finish off the chances he created. And so now to have this news, it's, this is why managers start to look elsewhere. This is why Gio Reyna, for all of his talent, is really a bubble player on this U.S. team. And it pains me to say it because when you consider how talented this guy is, I mean, he should be knocking on the door for the starting 11. But, a lot of times between a player and manager, it's about trust. And a lot of that trust has to do with being able to stay healthy. And Gio Reyna has not been able to show that attribute for a very long time.
Do you see him as a bubble player too, Herc, or after this injury, is there a point of no return here?
No, there's not going to be a point of no return because the U.S. men's national team does not have that luxury. They don't have a Messi. They don't have a Cristiano. They don't have a Neymar. They barely have a Pulisic. So to say you don't need a player with that type of ceiling, regardless of the injuries, regardless of what he's not done, you don't have the pool, so you hang on to it. And there's still a player that's playing in a top 5 league that when he has played has looked very good this season. And I think has for the first time in probably his whole career taken accountability. We had an interview with him right here, Football Americas, and I asked him if he was surprised that he wasn't on the call-up, when he didn't get on the U.S. men's national roster for the upcoming friendlies in the last window. And he just says, how could I be surprised? I'm not playing. I know what I have to do. I have to get back on the field. And getting back on the field, I will be fine. He's got to stay on the field. The getting on the field is very easy for a footballer. It's the staying on the field. And if he stays on the field, he's going to have opportunities. He's got that type of ceiling. And I repeat, the U.S. men's national team does not have the luxury of casting aside players like Giovanni Reyna and saying you are no good to me if they are healthy and they are fit.
I'm panicking now. I am. And we were just talking about what Jeff said, how good it was, right? Against Leverkusen, comes in, 92nd minute, they draw the game. But you know what? The injuries, that's the obvious thing. And I would say exactly what you said. I think we were talking about that 2 weeks ago. We can't afford to lose a player like that. But I'll tell you that, watch Borussia Mönchengladbach. Look, Eugen Polanski is an interim coach. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was 6-4, but it was 6-0 at halftime, right? He's not going to be there. He's not going to, he's just simple as that. Borussia Mönchengladbach are last place in the Bundesliga. Even when he comes back, this is Germany. This is Bundesliga. When you're last place, you're putting players out there that run all day, all night for 3 straight nights, right? Because you're in a panic to stay in. This is Borussia Mönchengladbach.
You trust the older players. Yeah.
Right. So my problem is with all the injuries in the history of that, the fact that this is not the sort of player that you're going to need in the next. Say he's ready for the next game, right? And Urs Fischer comes in. He's in the middle. Union Berlin. I mean, he's not playing there. Terzic, maybe because he knows him, doubt it, right? Philippe Clement is in there too. Who else? The American coaches, maybe, but just Pellegrino because he's American. You last place in the Bundesliga, you need workers, right? So that's what worries me, right?
Absolutely.
Between the injuries and the position they're in, that is my worry because that's supposed to be a new start. I hope it is.
Yeah. Chris,
he may not see the pitch.
We mentioned this last week.
Yeah.
Was it Lutz that was on the program? And we mentioned that when you're in a relegation battle, usually you go with the players who work, who defend, and he's not one of those players. Now, I don't disagree with the word you just said, but they were down 6-0 and came back to 4 goals. You're trying to tell me that if Giovanni Reyna is on the field trying to throw caution to the wind, Joe Scally's going to get 2 assists, but Giovanni Reyna is not going to be a dangerous player from what we've briefly seen here? I think he would be one of those players. Now, maybe that puts him on the radar for bigger and better elsewhere, but it's going to be a very frustrating season if they can't turn this around.
Eintracht took half the team,
Play who's in front of
the
you.
4 goals, that looks nice. And I was actually very happy for Joe Scally because, we can talk about him. He's in the pool. And he didn't look good as, nobody did in that first half, but showed character and showed that the coach trusts him. Because, if you wing back and
you got no other alternative.
No, you do. Because if you wing back, it's 6-0 down. Wing backs are one of those that you change. But he stayed with him and, 2 assists. Fair play to him.
It's a promising sign, but it's not the end-all be-all when the receipts come at the end of the season and you're still in last place or still fighting relegation. Speaking of fighting everyone for a roster spot, because it's crazy how close we are to the next 2026 World Cup. So for now, Jeff, here's your locked-in U.S. men's national team starting 11, but I see a lot of little question marks floating around, as there is, I'm sure, around Mauricio Pochettino's head, but take us through this.
Yeah, in goal, I think Matt Freese has got his nose in front just a little bit. I think Pochettino trusts him, but I look at the experience of a Matt Turner and a Zach Steffen. Turner's played in a World Cup, so I think if everything else is equal, I could see Turner, getting the nod eventually. In terms of the other center back, in addition to Ream and Richards, I think Mark McKenzie is a guy that you take a look at. I think Cameron Carter-Vickers is another player who Pochettino knows from his time at Spurs, who could also be in the mix. Celtic have not been conceding hardly any goals at all. Their problems have been on the attacking end. Some might quibble with Serginho Dest being in there, and certainly defensively, he has some issues. He could be a liability at times. But I think what you gain in the attacking end is far more than maybe what you lose. And that's why I like this 3-4-3 system as well, because you've got 2 center midfielders in, say, a Tyler Adams and a Tanner Tessman who can cover for him, as he gets forward. I think the forward situation, I think Balogun is the most talented player that the U.S. has at that position. But I think, as Janusz said earlier, he's not getting a whole lot of playing time. He's in a real battle for playing time with Monaco. So, he's really going to have to step it up. Otherwise, he's leaving the door open for someone else to come in, like a Pepe, if he's healthy. On the right wing, I think that's a battle between Zendejas and Tim Weah. Tim Weah has done well with Marseille. I mean, he's kind of been, what they say is the Swiss Army knife. He can play anywhere. He's played almost anywhere. He's played as a wing back. He's played as a left midfielder. He's had some good performances for Marseille so far. I just think that right now, Zendejas is at another level and contributing to a lot of goals. And that's one thing that I think that the U.S. has been missing from, Tim Weah, is that he just has not had a ton of goal contributions. So, and then, besides Adams in midfield, like I said, I think Tessman has really made a play for that particular position. I think a guy like Aiden Morris has also been playing well. But again, we'll see, and then there's Weston McKennie. We'll see if Pochettino, is willing to call him back in. You kind of get the sense that McKennie may be on the out in terms of what Pochettino thinks about him. So that's why this October window is just going to be so fascinating, because it's not only going to be fascinating for who's there, but also for who isn't. And so, we're going to have to wait and see how players perform, when they're with the U.S., and then what decisions Pochettino makes going forward.
I've seen Pochettino in his press conferences. He said this was going to be the time that you'll see the real call-ups, the real players. I noticed in this 11, you've got one Major League Soccer player, and it's Tim Ream, who's going to be partnering next to Chris Richards. I believe in one of these press conferences, he said that he wouldn't be calling in so many MLS players because of MLS playoffs. Correct?
I mean, we'll have to wait and see. The needs of the team are one thing. Then, if you want to say that, use the playoffs as a reason for not calling somebody in, I mean, so be it. But, I think Ream is a guy that Pochettino depends on for so much, not just because of his play. He depends on him for his leadership. I think Ream is a steady veteran hand, a calming presence for everyone around him. And so, I think, if the needs of the U.S. team, I think, have to take precedence if you're Mauricio Pochettino.
Exactly.
The can keeps getting kicked down the road. I mean, he said this about the Gold Cup.
Exactly.
He said this about the Gold Cup. This is the most important thing. Oh, well, guys aren't available. Okay, September's important. Oh, well, guys aren't available. And so, Pochettino himself said that, hey, this is the September window is the last time we're going to give guys a chance. We're going to look at some new guys, and then we're going to move forward and start zeroing in on the team.
He didn't mean it, Jeff. This is crazy, by the way. The time for experimenting stops.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's not going to happen.
But Jeff's right, though. You can't keep saying, well, we're going to do this because Major League Soccer's in playoffs, or I'm not going to put out what I think is the strongest team to get them reps.
Right.
So I'm a little confused at how, hey, the real call-ups are coming. The real call-ups are coming, and in the same breath, but we also have to keep in mind MLS playoffs are here. So
seems like he's
we don't want to.
But experiencing what? I mean, as Jeff said, and I agree with almost everything but one position in that lineup. We don't have a start. I mean, everything I would have put the same way, with the exception that Weston McKennie is a sure thing. He's playing 100%. I don't care if he plays. He's a gamer. He's going to come in for the national team. He is a gamer. When the World Cup's going to happen, this is a player. His energy, I don't care what's going to happen. I mean, I'd be absolutely shocked if I don't see Weston McKennie in the starting lineup in the World Cup. He will be there, and he'll be playing well.
I'd be shocked if we don't see Timothy Weah. I love Alejandro Zendejas, but a month ago, Alejandro Zendejas was a guy that we were having questions about just making the roster.
Yeah. And Mr. Pochettino, please do experiment, because there's going to be 26 people in the World Cup, right? I mean, we have barely, maybe 30. If everybody's healthy, we truly have 13 or 14 players that we can say, yeah, this is it. After that, you're going to have to experiment until the World Cup. George Campbell, center back, right, as West Brom. I watched him last couple of games because he's been playing well. Center back, he plays in the 4 as a right back there, so you can play him every which way. What about somebody like James Sands? I'm not saying I 100% believe in it, but, we watch Bundesliga. I watch him. After injury, he comes in, he plays well. He's the natural one for a holding.
Experiment.
No, I'm saying that he should be. He says Pochettino, and I don't buy into it. I think that's craziness. What do you mean not experiment? We barely have, as Jeff pointed out, 6 sure players in the starting lineup. How can we not experiment?
I don't think you have 6 sure players. I think this team.
Or maybe 5.
No, I think you have a core of players. Then you probably have a core 11 that every single person already knows, Because we've seen
Well,
this.
so it's 11. So the rest we don't know about,
Listen,
and he's got to be looking at players.
Jeff isn't a guy who comes in with this homework half done. He comes in with a complete workup, and this is what we were expecting from this locked-in 11, Jeff. But all due respect to Mauricio Pochettino, I think you know more about the U.S. men's national team right now than maybe he does, at least in the last few years. But what's crazy to me, and I don't know if this is statistically correct, I can't even say the word, but you only have then a little over 40% of your men down. I mean, if you have 6 locked players, yeah, it's crazy that you don't even have. You have a little more than half of your starting lineup. I mean, how alarming is that, Jeff? If Mauricio Pochettino is sitting down and maybe has a bunch of question marks like you do.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be uncomfortable. I mean, from the very beginning, that when Pochettino was hired, time was thought to be an issue. And I remember at his opening press conference, Pochettino said, "No, we have time, we have time, we have time." But again, you know, we keep going through these windows, and these decisions, you know, have not yet been made. I mean, I think October will reveal a lot. I think we'll have a much better feel for which direction Pochettino is heading with some of these positional battles. But yeah, I think it's alarming to me that, you know, there's still so many question marks out there. But, you know, I think part of Pochettino's thinking is that he wanted competition for places. I think that's what he noticed in March at the Nations League, was that there wasn't a lot of tension within the group, a lot of positional battles going on. And so that's why I think he brought in a lot of these MLS guys for the Gold Cup and continued to do so in the September window. So, yeah, again, we'll have to wait and see, but I think we will know more. And I think some of those question marks will be filled in once the October window is over.
Yeah, well, we'll have to get to that. It's all speculation for right now, but it's always such an interesting insight, Jeff, when you're able to take the time here with us on Futbol Americas. You can catch all of Jeff's work on ESPN.com. Jeff, we look forward to speaking to you next. Thank you.
Anytime.
And we want to remind you that ESPN FC is available daily on ESPN+. All right, some news around MLS. Sergio Busquets announced on his social media that he will officially be retiring, this after a very successful 20-year career with Barcelona, Miami, and Spain, saying a heartfelt thank you to everyone and to football for everything. You will always be a part of this beautiful story. He will retire at the end of this current MLS season. I don't know that we're so surprised, but the level that Busquets had been showing, especially that connection and those through balls that he was always just so brilliant at, it still is brilliant at. Janusz, obviously, it's sad to see a player like this announce his retirement. I mean, he was part of that legendary Spanish team, that legendary Barcelona team. But what will be the biggest part of his legacy here at the end of his career?
I just think the fact that he redefined the position, the way that position is played. We used to talk about double pivots, right? And I mean, he made a single pivot, right? And the way, okay, you know, every time I talk about that famous team, Barcelona, you know, you have, you know, Xavi and Iniesta next to him, right? But his simplicity, allowing those players to play. I mean, if you really watch his game closely, I mean, he moves, you know, 5 yards every which way, no more. He anticipates, he reads, he's so intelligent, right? He makes passes that are 4, 5, 6, 7 yards long, right? And he always looks for Messi first because he understands what to do, right? If you have the best player in the world, you give it to him and watch him. What am I going to miss? I mean, I think he could play till he's 45. Right. I mean, at this moment, if you watch the last 5 games of Inter Miami, I mean, it's basically Messi and Busquets playing together, and nobody in this league can stop them for the most part. I mean, it seems that easy to me the way they play, right? So he should play a little bit longer, and you know, I know he's loaded. Herculez is loaded with some big names because there's so many good names in that position. But when I look at that team, and you know, he did have Puyol and PK and behind, but
they're more a defender than they are an architect. The passes that he plays are 4, 5 steps ahead. He's always the smartest player on the field. So smart that he knows that the easiest thing to do is get the ball to the 10. Get the ball to a guy like Lionel Messi. When you talk about the world's greatest players, Messi's at the forefront. When you talk about the world's greatest defensive midfielders, those central midfielders, if somebody says Sergio Busquets is the all-time greatest central midfielder. I have no qualms about it. I am more partial to a Fernando Redondo because of what I've seen him do and how elegant that player is. But this player did it at a club level with a team that is arguably the best team to ever play in that legendary Barcelona team. And then he did it with the Spanish national team, who had one of the most ridiculous runs in international football with 2 European finals won and a World Cup championship in between. He literally is the architect of both.
Yep.
And I say this respectfully. The reason that Iniesta and Xavi were allowed to do what they do, and even a Messi, is because of the brains of a Sergio Busquets. The reason he can play right now at this age is because of how intelligent he is. When Janusz says he moves 4 or 5 yards at a time, that's all he does, because he doesn't need to do anything. He knows exactly where he needs to be. He knows exactly where to get the ball. He is by far the most intelligent footballer that I've seen on the field. And if anybody has or tells me that he's the best central midfielder to play the game, I don't think I have any arguments against it.
Yeah.
Look, his simplicity and efficiency of play, right? Because you can there's nobody to compare it to in that. Because if you look at midfield holding players, and not all of them the same, but, we've been mentioning, Fernandinho, Rodri's been good, Essien, Michallik,
Pedri. Yeah.
But they're different, right? I mean, there's so much different in the way he plays. So I mean, some have range of play and up and down.
Why did I say Pedri?
No, but
Yes.
you know what I mean. They're players that play that holding role in a different way,
Right.
and they're just as good.
Yes.
And if somebody wanted to make a case that N'Golo Kanté,
Because of the ground he covers and how good he is,
I
yes.
have no problem with that. But he plays that position in a specific way, in a specific team that was Barcelona, right? But I think this is almost a better example when he came to Major League Soccer, in a way how he almost redefined, as I said, I mean, he could still, and nice and easy, no panic whatsoever in any situation, never loses the ball, every pass is on form. I mean, this is beautiful to watch. And some people, like this type of player, some other, but, this is definitely in my book, when it comes to that opinion, first or second, top 3 for sure.
And one of the most consistent players at his position, for sure, Sergio Busquets, who was a pillar for not only all of Barcelona's success at the time, but as you mentioned, one of the most dominant national teams at the international level here with Spain. But speaking of coming to MLS, I mean, Messi and friends, and the group is getting a little smaller here at the end of the season. I see you kind of furrowing your brow here, Hart. For those listening, we
Put
have
Jonah Dos Santos on that
we
list.
have a list. Hear us out. We have a list of Inter Miami prospects among Messi's former teammates: Ángel Di María, Sergio Ramos, Pedro Rodríguez, Jonathan Dos Santos, as Herc mentioned, Sergi Roberto, Leandro Paredes, Neymar, Arturo Vidal, Denis Suarez, and Adama Traoré. Who's jumping out at you right now?
I'm not going to say Ángel Di María. It's not going to happen, even though I would love to see it. He's a little long in the tooth, and I think he's where he wants to be. I won't say Sergio Ramos, because I'm very much enjoying him as a Monterrey player.
Of course you are.
I'm not going to say Sergio Roberto. I'm not going to say Neymar. It's not going to happen. Arturo Vidal. No, a lot of these players are a little long in the tooth. Leandro Paredes, to me, kind of makes sense. You're losing Sergio Busquets. You've already got a bright Duke in the middle. You can use another player that was very good in central midfield position that could work alongside a De Paul. It kind of makes sense to me. If you're thinking about what this team actually needs, it makes sense.
What this team actually needs, I'll add some names to that, because I would say Antoine Griezmann, they were teammates, right, briefly for Barcelona. Antoine Griezmann always said that he wants to come here. I'm looking.
But it was more towards LA, right?
Well, it doesn't matter.
Jonathan Dos Santos knows MLS.
There you go. I would say Paulo Dybala, not getting a lot of time in Roma, and I don't think that's going to be the case. Another player that he knows very well. I think, and I don't look at age because I don't think Inter Miami cares about that.
Right.
But Otamendi, still at Benfica, still playing Champions League, a strong character as a central defender. Something that they need. And Lo Celso, did you say that? Lo Celso is another player that I may, kind of plays this position, but you can rejig that in a way. So Lo Celso is another one.
Yeah. Get Lo Celso on the team. Let's see what the MLS fans think about Inter Miami adding another player like that.
Yeah. Pulled from the U20 match for actually the tournament with the U.S. men's national team to be a Barcelona backup due to that Joan Garcia injury. He injured his meniscus last week in that match against Real Oviedo, therefore had no obvious backup to that of Chesney. He was injured. He was actually in Chile earlier this week with the U20 squad. Not injured. I was talking about Joan Garcia there, just messing myself up. But hey, are you cool with it? Janusz?
Who's Chesney? Is that a singer? Szczęsny. I'm Polish.
Okay. I'm going to correct you in all your pronunciations.
Yeah, my Spanish one.
You know what? I have trouble with his first name.
But I have to. I have responsibility of saying this.
I got it.
Szczęsny name, you know.
Szczęsny.
That's okay. This is just for my two Polish viewers on this show. My son being one. You know he watches you all the time.
Yeah.
He likes it more than me. It's true, isn't it? But what was the question, by the way? Oh, no, I'm not cool with it. Well, I guess they pay him the money, but, more than a club, let him play. I mean, this is a chance for him. The bottom line, I didn't go as deep as looking into their, Barca B, the reserve team. I'm sure there's somebody there. Look, I mean, Joan Garcia. There you go. See, I knew I'm going to have to ask you about that. Look, when he's healthy, he's going to be playing there for years, right? Cohen's going to go on loan or he's going to be sold. He's not, I want him to be in the future of Barcelona, but chances are, he's not going to be waiting for years and years now. And that's pretty much going to be the case unless he wants to be a reserve goalkeeper. So I think they need to let him play. This was a great opportunity. They could have done without him. They are more than a club, aren't they? So they should.
Chesney is how old?
37, maybe? I don't know.
So my man Chesney's 37 years old. He's already said he's okay with being a backup, smokes every single day, and probably hasn't been preparing for this the way he normally would be preparing if he's a starter.
What do you mean he hasn't been prepared?
Well, no, I'm saying when you're a starter, it's a different mentality. When, he's going into the season thinking, okay, I'm here to be a mentor to Joan Garcia. I'm here to be a good teammate.
That's how he came in before last season, and he ended up playing.
Exactly. He came straight off the couch.
He's won everything there's to be won, just about.
And he could also be.
He's a good pro, though.
Diego Cochen is one injury away from being the number one at Barcelona, or playing a tournament where the best players don't even go to play. The majority of the world's top U20 talents weren't released for this tournament. Youth tournaments are of little importance to the rest of the world. It's very cool once you're there, but the Barcelonas, the Real Madrids, the top clubs in the world, they could care less about a youth tournament. They would rather their talent not go and risk injury. So if Diego Cochen, right now, you're going to tell me he's best served playing against, what is it, New Caledonia?
9-1.
If they're better served, he's better served playing against New Caledonia than he.
New Caledonia.
Caledonia.
We got a geography lesson today.
Then actually being somewhere where he's one step closer to First Division in not only a La Liga setup, but in Barcelona under Hansi Flick.
Look.
Listen.
Cochen, even if Szczęsny is on one leg and one arm, he plays. Cochen is not playing any games anytime. There's no possibility that Hansi Flick is going to put him in there. I'm telling you, it's just not going to happen. And Joan Garcia is going to be back in this, right? I agree with you, but there are a lot of scouts. He's going to be moving, and maybe he doesn't need a U20.
But to what? You're playing in Barcelona.
No, he's sitting on the bench. No,
the simple Barcelona name is going to get him wherever.
Look, the scouts are not going to even know where he is on the bench. If he doesn't put gloves on the bench,
what top scout today doesn't know who Diego Cochen is?
No, but I'm just saying he can play, he can show. There's an opportunity because there's got to be how do we know how good he is?
You won't know if he's playing U20.
Let me ask you this. You
won't know if he's playing a U20.
Which is why he's a topic today on our show.
Let me ask you this, and I don't know that. When did these people, scouts or anybody, last seen Cochen play? Because when did he play his last game?
Probably in the Barca B.
Yeah.
You think they're going there to watch him there play?
Yes.
I'm just saying if he would have stayed with the national team, Janusz, he wouldn't be a topic of conversation today on our show. And I think that says a lot.
I wish him all the best. We can talk about him. I would have find a way to let him play for his national team.
I just think we have an inflated idea of what these tournaments
No,
are.
no, I don't have any inflated idea about it, but I think he needs to play.
Until the 10th minute. This was like the 4th minute. He tried playing through it. I guess the pain was too much, discomfort was too much. Ends up going out, which is why I'm a little worried. You know, you tried, and if it's a pain issue, what's going to make it better from now until next week or this week, into this week, for you to be on the Mexican national team roster? I guess if there is one player that you can say you can do without because you already know what he provides and he's going to be there on that start sheet, it's going to be Raul Jimenez. But Raul Jimenez has been that guy for the national team recently. In the 3 World Cups that he's been with the national team, he's never been the guy. He's never really played. He's the guy now. It's Raul y 10 más now.
True.
But with Fulham, he's not exactly playing. Rodrigo Muñiz is the guy who is playing, and he plays this game because Muñiz is injured. So you score a goal, which is great because you're taking advantage of Muñiz's injury, but you can't get injured. You've only played 77 minutes in league play. You finally get your chance. You're 34, he's 24, he's injured, you're not, you score a goal. This is where you reclaim what is yours. So it's very unfortunate to see, and I guess we got to sit here and wait until what the final diagnostic is, but it doesn't look good.
I'm a doctor. I don't know if you knew that. So I think that's not a problem. He's going to be all right. You know, I cheer for him after what happened to him. I think he's a very good striker. You know, it's going to be good karma for him because I'm sure, you know, I mean, playing for the Mexican national team means a lot, of course, but the fact that, of course, it's in Mexico as well, you know, it means a lot more. I think he's going to be absolutely fine. The goal to me is bigger than the injury because I'm going to take a chance here thinking that this is nothing major. That was his first goal of the season. I think he can reclaim the number one spot because Muñiz, remember last year, I mean, he was very, very good. Muñiz was coming off the bench, right? So I think
until the second half of the season, where he took that over, yeah.
So I think he's going to be fine, and I don't know, I kind of cheer for him. One of the very few Mexican players that I
listen. A lot to be positive about with Raul Jimenez. He got to 60 goals in the Premier League. There's no other Mexican player in Premier League history that has gotten to that number. He's one of the top 50 foreign goal scorers in the Premier League. A lot to be proud of. Like Janusz said, the simple fact that today he's still playing, you cheer for the guy.
Right.
But I want to cheer for him. I want to see him do well in the World Cup because he's never had his moment in the World Cup. He's played in 3 different World Cups, and he's never been the man. He barely gets on the field. Now, he's supposed to be the man. So you want to see him not only get to the World Cup and do well, but in good form so you feel good about him getting to the World Cup, and he's got to be on the field for that. And that's what has to happen for Raul Jimenez for people to really feel good about that.
Yeah, if he had a walkout song, and you'll appreciate this being a Las Vegas man, I'm sure it would be the Killers' The Man because of, you know, he is the man for Mexico. Right, it's a really great song. You can imagine it just playing in my head. If you haven't heard it, go listen to it now. If you haven't seen this, stick around because we have some interesting tales from the pitch. This is such a funny moment. It really made me chuckle. So Orlando defender Rodrigo Schlegel was pleading his case to the ref quite literally on his knees. But the angle to this, I see so many memes, so many GIFs.
This is beautiful. Big Brother's watching everywhere.
That's me coming home late at night.
Without a good excuse.
Exactly. Oh, yeah.
I think this is tremendous. Everybody's talking about it around the world. You know, MLS can always need that, right?
The ref cam.
We just have Messi, now we have Sonny, and
I don't know why more leagues don't have the ref cam. Since I saw it, ref cam. Since I saw it at the Club World Cup, this is absolutely amazing. Why don't leagues have more of this? It's absolutely a game changer.
This is how the game is going to be shot in the future, I think. That's how we're going to watch the game, I think.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating, too, because, of course, we sometimes don't know how those interactions go, but now with the ref cam, it brings us quite literally on the pitch, and it gives us these lovely moments, as we saw with Rodrigo Schlegel. I saw already a lot of, like, memes. There was like a dramatic movie as well with like the image. I don't know. It's really funny. So take a snapshot. Maybe turn it into a sticker. I don't know. I have many ideas, but maybe I'll come up with more here coming up on Thursday.